Star Union News front page. Reckoning Hour. Well, I have to admit, viewers, the attack on Sol Olympia was pathetic to say the least. The Ravagers had somehow slowed asteroids down enough to slap thermonuclear rockets onto them, use their gravity fields to hold on towards human vessels, and let the automated defences shoot the asteroids, breaking them apart, which activated the rockets to home in on the attacking craft. Colonel Smith was startled at first, I could tell, even if I couldn't see through his opaque visor. But when they realised what was going on, they switched from kinetic shots to energy pulses. Those pulses broke the asteroids apart and overwhelmed the rocket's hardware. Child's play is what the Colonel called the attacks. The Ravager began imitating a combat strategy the humans called guerrilla warfare, and they were not impressed. As my readers, you have to understand, I learned that humans have been conducting this style of war since as long as their history could recount. Very little could actually surprise them. I say very little because we all know what happened during the reclamation of the 43rd system, or what was considered the 43rd system. The system of Unitric was a critical system, a large gas giant with an unnatural amount of planets for mining and stripping for supplies. It had been one of the few trading capitals for raw materials. If you were to reclaim the system, the Union would have seen a 37% uptick in rebuilding efforts due to the increase in materials. The Ravagers would have rather died than see the humans retake it, but the Ravagers unfortunately weren't suicidal. Instead, they baited the humans. They baited the Terrans. It was an easy victory. We believed it was due to the toll the humans had on their manpower. We were all fooled. We were reckless. And the humans said recklessness breeds death. Death was in full force that day. The entire Union felt the shift in humanity in that moment. They called it the Reckoning Hour. The human forces pushed into the system, and the Ravagers retreated relatively fast. The humans were suspicious at first, but when nothing happened, the Terrans were ordered to move in to set up refugee centres. The humans have relaxed. This was a huge victory for the Union. Not only for the Union itself, but for a huge portion of our industry's workforce would have jobs once again. That was until the following morning, after the reports of victory came rolling in. The first destinations began at 0459-5959. The main hub in the Unitric system was glassed, a massacre in which the humans had never seen in their history. The thermonuclear weapons continued going off throughout the system, rendering every planet in the system useless. Every human and Terran on the ground was systematically purged. You have to understand, readers. Humans follow a specific code called Law of War. In this war, there is a specific line you never cross, and they will do everything to never cross that line, regardless of what their enemies do. They will try to not use nuclear, biological or chemical warfare. They will do everything they can to avoid civilian deaths. Protect those that are not combatants. In this short hour, humanity's command, the Union and myself watched helplessly, as 103 million humans and 400,000 Terran lives were cut short by hidden nukes. We, as a Union, screamed for the death of the Ravagers. Terrans joined us in our cries. The humans, though, they were quiet. A silent rage flowed through them as a collective. There were no hive mind, but each one felt the same hate, the same fury. We called for Ravager blood, but instead the human president removed the law of war. Their leader called for an unrelenting war. The humans were silent until the announcement came to the Union, stating the law of war had been abolished. That's when we heard humanity finally cry out. They cried out for retribution, one which the Ravagers would never forget. One that will cause the Ravagers to cry for forgiveness. You see, readers, there is a famous quote from Earth, "Forgive, but never forget." I know the Union will never forget this, and we will never forgive them. As powerful as the humans are, for the sins conducted by the Ravagers, I do not believe they are capable of forgiveness. Star Union, it is time for me to share a secret. Humanity has not been fighting with everything they had. They believed, still believe they can win the war with just the forces assigned to Sol Olympia, but they are just one of 4 fleets. I, Calm, am pleased to be the first to introduce you to their full fleet. Sol Nova, this is their second newest fleet. If Sol Olympia is just special forces, imagine Sol Nova is their air and space fleet. A stunning squadron of fighters, FTL bombers, close escort drones, kinetic striking satellites, mobile space station resupply centers, and real-time video and imagery of any combat zone. Olympia is the deadliest force from humans, jack of all trades type of deal. Nova thrives in this area of responsibility. The support it gives to the Ark, Terra and Olympia is truly terrifying. Nova makes up for 20% of their military force. Sol Ark, their navy. Space and traditional water navy. Every warship imaginable is owned by them, on top of being the producer for the other 3 fleets. Their space carriers are responsible for all repairs for Nova and Terra. They also create new ships, weapons, fighters, and bombers. Ark makes up for 30% of their military force. Finally, their oldest fleet, Sol Terra. Their ground pounders, oldest yet biggest fleet. This makes up for 35% of their entire military force. All ground nav, kinetic weapons for soldiers and armor is designed, created and distributed by Sol Terra. They are also responsible for mass production support for Sol Ark and Sol Olympia. They will be entering Union space within the next couple of days, and in war space within the week. I'm here to pass on to you, Star Union, Sol Terra's new name for the Ravager conflict. The Reckoning Crusade.